Vladimir Klitschko destroys Kubrat Pulev in 5 relatively action-packed rounds in Germany. First and foremost, I have to say this was a terrific performance by Vladimir Klitschko. Probably one of the best performances of his career. Tremendous performance. From the opening bell, Pulev came right at Klitschko. And he actually landed some decent shots right away. And it became apparent as soon as the fight started that Pulev wasn't going to have the problems with range that other opponents had, because Pulev was able to land shots right away, and he was also able to land a jab against Klitschko in the first round. But only about a minute or so, or I think it was a minute, maybe a minute and a half into the first round, Klitschko landed a terrific, I believe it was a left hook, which dropped Pulev heavily, and he was seriously hurt. You know, Pulev had a lot of the offensive skills to trouble Vladimir Klitschko. What he didn't have, clearly, is the defensive skills, because his defense in this fight was terrible. I've never seen Pulev's defense be as bad as this. His hands never came up to block any punches. If you see him in the Ustinov fight and other fights, he quite frequently will bring his hands up to block shots. In this fight, he hardly blocked anything. He didn't even attempt to bring his hands up most of the time. And with a guy as powerful as Klitschko, with that type of speed, because Klitschko's got terrific speed for a big man, and he's very powerful, as we know, and he's got that wicked left hook that he can jump in with. You don't want to just keep your hands down all the time, and when you're hurt, you want to get your hands up. When Pulev was hurt, he wasn't even keeping his hands up, so he was dropped in the first round, I believe in about after a minute, maybe less. Then he was dropped again, and how he made it out of the first round, I've got no idea. Second round went on, Pulev was getting hurt here and there, but Pulev, in between getting hurt, he was having his successes. He was having his successes with a jab. He landed a few right hands. Pulev, not known as a massive puncher, but he was getting through there. And stylistically, it was just something different, because in the ring, it looked as though Pulev had a chance. You know, when you a chance at landing, which is something rare for Klitschko opponents these days, because of Pulev's size and his arm length, it seemed feasible that Pulev might be able to land one of those shots. And he did land a few shots here and there. But Klitschko was just a superior athlete, far more powerful, smarter than Pulev in there. Pulev's reflexes just weren't quick enough to fight the way that he did, with his hands so down and his defense so lax. It wasn't quick enough to be able to do that against Vladimir Klitschko, because Vladimir was jumping in with big left hooks, and the fight went on. It looked as though Pulev might be starting to get a foothold in it at points in the fight. There was a lot of tension in the air. Klitschko kept flying in with that big left hook, which he missed a few times. He rocked Pulev with a right hand, I think, in the third or fourth round. But it was a weird kind of fight, because Klitschko was dominating, but just the way the fight looked, there was that air that maybe Pulev could land a shot here, because he's not far off with his range, but Klitschko was just a better man, faster man, much more powerful, and there wasn't all the holding that a lot of people expected. And that's one thing I never saw in this fight, was going to be a lot of holding, because Pulev's so big. He wasn't going to be a guy that Klitschko could just grab and lean on and what have you. He was just going to come forward in straight lines. Pulev didn't use his feet as much as I would have liked to see him use his feet, move around the ring, give Klitschko some lateral movement. He was just coming forward and trying to use his jab, which, like I say, he was having success with, but I think he would have done better with a bit more lateral movement, because he was a little bit of a sitting duck for that jump, that leaping left hook and the right hand that Klitschko was throwing. Nonetheless, fifth round came and Klitschko leaped in with that left hook again. Tremendous shot, and Pulev was nearly knocked out cold. Absolutely tremendous punch. Tremendous one-punch KO. One of the best knockouts of Klitschko's career. If only he would fight like this more often. If only he would give us performances like this, and not the performance that he gave us against Povetkin. And people would take to him a lot more, rather than the negative stuff and the cheating and all that kind of things. We don't want to see that. If he performs like he performed against Pulev, this guy's going to be a hell of a lot more popular than he's worldwide than he's been so far. So hats off to Vladimir Klitschko. A terrific performance. I've always said this guy's got tremendous physical attributes, but he just, for whatever reason, fights so negatively so often and uses so many fouls and all these kind of dirty tactics, which is really, it makes you wonder why he does it when a guy clearly has incredible ability like Vladimir Klitschko does have. Again, shout out to Kubrat Pulev. He showed tremendous heart. He came to win. He wasn't just a guy turning up for a payday like some of the other Klitschko opponents. He wasn't just Gonna go in there and just act like an Alex Leopai or any of these guys. He was actually going in there to win, and he was trying to impose his will on Klitschko. He just wasn't good enough. That's the bottom line. He wasn't good enough. He had some of the tools to trouble Vladimir, but at the end of the day, he wasn't good enough, and Klitschko showed his true talent in there. That was a wicked performance. I was very impressed. Exciting, great stuff from Vladimir Klitschko. 5 stars out of 5 from me. Not surprisingly, Shannon Briggs was at ringside. They're going to try to set that up. If they don't try and set it up, it's going to be Briggs being strung along and used for promotional purposes in some of Vladimir's smaller fights. Briggs obviously wasn't banned from the fight. He was there ringside. He didn't get into the pre-fight press conference, but Pulev's team weren't allowed in the pre-fight press conference. So don't read too much into that. Pulev was only allowed 3 people in, so they're obviously not going to let Shannon Briggs in if Pulev's only allowed 3 people in. That's the challenger. So yeah, there you have it. Great performance by Vladimir. I'm happy that he put in a performance like that. I'm happy. That's what I want to see from the heavyweight champion of the world. That's what the heavyweight champion of the world should do to their challengers. When you're physically superior to the people you're fighting, that's what you should be doing to them. So let's hope we see more performances like that from Vladimir Klitschko in the future. Drop your comments below. This is Hatman. I'm out.